Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Music Den. I'm your host, Armando Venditti. Hoping you guys are having a good day and that you're looking after yourselves and one another. In this episode of Music Den, I haven't done one of these in a while. I'm going to be doing another installment of albums that turned 50 in 2023 with the subtitle, Is This a Masterpiece? Wait and find out. The band is Yes, and the album is Tales from Topographic Oceans. This is the band's sixth album, released December 7th, 1973, produced by Yes and Eddie Alford. Double album, concept album, 4 tracks going across 4 sides. Each side had 1 track, ranging in length from 18 to 21 minutes. The idea came from the fact that John Anderson was having difficulty coming up with ideas for a new album after the tour for Close to the Edge. He ran into Jamie Muir of King Crimson at Bill Burford's wedding and was talking to him about this, the problem he was having about coming up with an idea for music for an album. And Jamie Muir gave him a copy of Autobiography of a Yogi. Uh, John Anderson read the book and found a section in the book that he thought was quite interesting and wanted to expand on it and brought it to the band, and they agreed to do it. Now, I have to say, John Anderson spearheaded this idea for this album. The music was based on 4 key Hindu Shastras, scriptures, and they are Shruti, Smriti, Purana, and Tantra. Now, if I said any of those wrong, I'm sorry. The album, for some fans, is polarizing. Some fans love this album. They think it's a masterpiece. I know one individual who definitely does, without a doubt. Some fans, as much as they love Yes, I kind of felt maybe they went a bit too far. My exposure to this album happened in the late 90s, 1999. And well, what happened was I had a professor that gave me a copy of Tales from Topographic Oceans. And I gave him a copy of Queen 2. So we traded off. And I listened to it, and it was interesting. It was intricate. It was layered, textured beyond belief. At that point, I don't think I was ready for it yet. I should also give you some details on the album. They started the tour for this album a month before the release of the album. They started in November 73. The album, when it was released in December of 73, reached number 4 in the Canadian charts, number 6 in the US charts, and number 1 in the UK charts. One of the stipulations that they wanted to push for this album was that whatever the showtime was in whatever city, the show was going to start promptly at that time. The album was played in its entirety. And if you were not there by whatever time the show said that they were going to start, the doors were locked and you were out. You could not sit through the show. Now, again, there are 4 tracks, okay? Each track ranges in length from 18 to around 21 minutes. And I should say too, there are many versions of this album. There is a 2003 reissue through Elektra Rhino, where the first track, the Revealing Science of God, Dance of the Dawn, has a 2-minute intro that was removed from the original track, the original track of The Revealing Science of God, was clocked in at 28 minutes. So it obviously had to be cut down. Otherwise, the sound on the recording would have been really thin. It would have compromised the sound of the recording overall. Now, it starts with Anderson singing, uh, and Chris Squire comes in, and they do a harmony vocal. The band do eventually come in. There are fantastic synths and guitars on this track from Wakeman and Howe. They do some choral vocals between Anderson and Squire and Howe. Howe you can hear very faintly in the mix. I tend, but they kind of the choral vocal happens where it goes from the right to the left channel and back to the right. So I mean, it basically get us around sound on the vocal approach. Fantastic use of sitar on this track, on all the tracks, but especially in this track. There is a time signature change that comes in at 6:49, and there's quite a bit of heavy guitar, not overly so. No, it's not a guitar. These tracks are not guitar driven; they're more keyboard mellotron driven. But Steve Howe display fantastic guitar on this track, and most of these tracks, a majority of the tracks, were conceived by Howe and Anderson on their tour of Japan. So yeah, the tempo does slow down at around 7:42, and then comes in there's a beautiful mellotron passage from Rick Wakeman at around 8:56. Again, there's another time signature change at 11:02, and the tempo does pick up, and there's a lot of mellotron use in this album. I gotta say, at 11:59, there's another mellotron passage. There's fantastic guitar soloing on this track. The whole track for the Revealing Science of God, it's very atmospheric. There are certain passages that are repeated for melody, for in certain spots, but overall, it's a very atmospheric, very sort of ethereal piece. The opening melody does repeat throughout the piece, as I just said, as I'm referring to my notes. There's almost I call it a funk section that starts at 16 minutes and 39 seconds and ends with the same chanting section that started the piece. Okay, now on the 2000 reissue, there is an effect of waves crashing against the shore, and I think that they should have kept this section in, this piece in for the album. I think it just adds to the whole piece overall. I really, I think it enhances the piece. Sorry, I'm having trouble speaking today. My apologies, guys. Track 2 is a remembering, Hide the Memory. That clocks in at 20 minutes and 36 seconds. It starts with a guitar and lute twinning melody. The harmony vocals come in with the same melody. There's beautiful, subtle mellotron throughout this track. The mellotron comes to the forefront at around the 4-minute and 35-second mark. Sorry, I was going to say track mark. The drums do not come in until around the 5-minute and 37-second mark. There's, again, a lot of mellotron use. It's a beautiful mellotron passage sequence, twinning, and there's a twinning guitar and synth passage that comes in. There's quite a lot of mellotron on this track. Fantastic use of guitar, It goes through many time signature changes, and certain vocal lines are repeated. The melody lines are repeated on this track. Beautiful, beautiful, just amazing, amazing. Like I said, listening to this album, I have this album on the original Atlantic release, and I have this on the Elektra Rhino reissue on CD. And I have just purchased yesterday the Steven Wilson, the ever elusive Steven Wilson remix of the album. And that will be coming in the next few weeks. So I'm looking forward to that. I really want to see how he handles the choral vocals, the overall intricacy of this recording. It's going to be amazing. Track 3, it's called The Ancient Giants Under the Sun. This is the shortest track on the album. Clocks in at 18 minutes and 34 seconds. This, for me, is where they kind of lose me just a bit. It's a very rhythmic, percussive piece. There's a really good bass part. I mean, Chris Squire on that Rickenbacker, man, holy jeez. He tears it up. No doubt about it. There's an extended instrumental section. Again, fantastic guitar work from Steve Howe. This is the only track, I believe, that all 5 members worked on the lyrics for this piece. Good mellotron, atmospheric, very atmospheric. Has a tribal feel to it, right? Very tribal. There's a fantastic acoustic guitar section, and a good portion of this track does consist of acoustic guitars, right? Passages right into the very end. The last track on side 4 is Ritual, Nous sommes du soleil. Okay. I love this track. This track to me is the track that brings it all back home. Like, it all brings it together, and it's almost like you're at the end of a journey at the end of this track. Starts off with certain notes that are played on bass, and I don't know if it's obviously fed through a certain amp or pickup, but it is bass, but it doesn't sound like bass. It's not very obvious that it's bass. A nice guitar passages according to my notes here. A lot of quick tempo changes, repetition of medley, nice atmospheric guitar and synth passages, good use of sitar on this track, and are all these tracks, but especially this one. There's an extended musical passage played on bass. There is I call it there is a funk section. I call it funk. It's very rhythmic, but I call it funk. That starts at 11 minutes and 57 seconds. And there's a repeat of the vocal melody. It goes into an extended percussion section that starts at 14 minutes, 23 seconds. Quite extended, actually. And the guitar passage starts at 17:01, and it goes right on to the very end until the end of the track. Now, for me, okay, this album overall clocks in at 81 minutes and change. As I said, some people think that this album is a masterpiece. Some people think that this album, again, as much as they love, yes, they think that maybe they went a bit too far musically. It's got to be said, too, that it was said that after the release of this album, that the band did not let John Anderson pick the musical ideas for future albums all on his own. People had help. They helped him with musical ideas, and also this is where Rick Wakeman grew disillusioned with the band and with what they were doing. There were a lot of recording sessions, long hours, 24-hour recording sessions, a lot of tedious work that Rick Wakeman said he got really tired of. And this is the tour that he left the band. He got into the tour, started the tour, and got really tired of it. And it was about after the 8th show that he called the band into a meeting and said, "I'm quitting. I'm leaving. I can't do this anymore." He was convinced to stay on by the managers, but he did grow quite disillusioned with the band. So he left, you know. Is now the question, is this album a masterpiece? Well, I have to say that after listening to it again for this segment, I have grown more fond of it. I have grown a different appreciation for it. I have listened to it more carefully now. Is it a masterpiece? Well, if not, it's damn near. It's damn near. Is it as good as Close to the Edge? Yeah, I would say so. I would say that maybe the ancient the band got a little bit lost on that track with what they were trying to do, which is basically the criticism that people have been giving this album for years. I do think that maybe they gave their audiences too much to handle at once. Obviously, you don't need to listen to the album all at once, but I mean, they played this album in its entirety up until 1974, when the Remembering was dropped in favor of Starship Trooper. So even for the band themselves, they got tired of playing the album in its entirety. So the tour for this album, the first part was close to the Edge in its entirety. After the intermission, they played Tales from Topographic Oceans in its entirety until they dropped the Remembering for Starship Trooper. Sorry. Again, I do think that this album is very good. I think it's very atmospheric, beautiful guitar work, fantastic over the top playing on Mellotron from Rick Wakeman. I think the Mellotron adds a very ethereal atmosphere to this album. I think it's just gorgeous. I think it's beautiful. Is it their masterpiece? I would have to say yes, with a caveat that I have to listen to this album some more to give it more time for it to set in for me. But overall, I do think it is a masterpiece. So that's it for now. Please put your comments down there, down below. Please let me know what you think. Do you like Tales of Topographic Oceans? Do you not like it? Do you think maybe it should have been split up into 2 parts, maybe release part 1 and now part 2 6 months after, to give the audience a bit of a breather? I should say too, the original idea for Topographic Oceans was to have it as one piece split across 2 sides, right? Most bands do that, like Goldfield, Tubular Bells. So why not with this? But the idea grew and grew and grew, and what you got, or a double album with 4 sides, of four pieces of music. So again, do you think that this album is a masterpiece? Do you not think it's a masterpiece? Do you think it's close to it? Do you like it? Do you not like it? Please let me know down below in the comment section, and click like and hit the notification bell and hit subscribe and notification bell to keep yourselves on top of any new content that I've got coming up. I will be doing, again, the ever elusive Pink Floyd album ranking this Saturday night, September 30th, with Bill Schuster, Andrew Cox, Brian McFadden, and Mr. Peter Kent from the Lizard King channel. I just finished filming on Friday my video with Grant Arthur from Grant's Rock Warehouse. Please check out Grant's Rock Warehouse for fantastic content, along with the Lizard King channel for more fantastic content. And I will be doing another video coming up very soon. So for right now, I will say goodbye. Please take care of yourselves and one another, and I will see you soon with another video. Bye for now.